Does anyone have a question?
Hey Stuart, I have a question.
Ms. Helen?
Can you talk about non-doership? Um, I'm in a situation that's very difficult right now, and I'm choosing kind of just the non-doership perspective on it, and I'm just kind of considering that it's maybe just karma and out of my hands. And
Non-doership?
yeah, what is your take on non-doership?
My take on non-doership, a lot of times it's avoidance of the situation. A lot of times it's an easy way out of not attaining something that you should attain in life. Depending, look, if it was, somebody attacking your homeland, you know, if it was some situation that was really horrible and there was a reason to walk out of it and not all it can do is drag you down and destroy you, then you can walk away. Relationships can be like that. We sometimes, I've done it in my own life. I can make it work. I can change the person. I can do, and 3 years later, it's the same nightmare and even worse. So the realization that that person can't change unless they're willing to change, understand, can instigate non-doer. Why keep investing energy in a situation that's not going to change? It's like in the Bible where those disciples of Christ came to him and said, we have to go to a funeral and burial of an uncle. And his response, when I first read that, was shocking to me. He said, let the dead bury the dead. Follow me to life. And, when I thought about this over years, it makes a lot of sense. People find endless numbers of reasons to bury the dead. And it's a metaphor for putting energy into things that don't work, that are finished, that don't work. And we too often do that. If there's a thing of non-doership, it should be that. Don't put energy into situations that don't work. And don't have some strange thought in your brain that you can change another person. If they're willing to change, then just jump in there and work with them. If they're not willing to change, get out. Rudy said the best way out of town is up. You know, to get out of the situation. What do you need it for? It's just going to drain you of your life. Or look at it this way: what can I learn in a very difficult situation to grow in my life? And if there's stuff that you need to learn because the situation is difficult, and it's worthwhile investing energy in doing it. But if you've exhausted everything you can learn in that situation, walk away. Just walk away. You'll save yourself your life and a lifetime of being drained of energy. So there's no one answer to this. You understand? People stay in marriages for 30 years and they're really not married. You understand? They just kind of live together. And as though we're doing it for the kids. It's a hell of a thing to teach the kids. Not to be married without love. So all of these things work together. You understand? And there's no simple answer to your question. If a marriage, a relationship is making you grow, you have to become more of a human being in order to live in that relationship, then it's worth investing the energy. And even if one day it falls apart, you will have grown enormously in your life. You will have learned how to love somebody unconditionally. But when the cycle is over, walk away. State of non-doership. You walk away. And part of spiritual practice is learning when cycles are over. I mean, there's an old explain, but why try to beat a dead mule? It's not going to go anywhere. And we spend so much of our time and energy beating dead horses, trying to make things work. And years later, we find out it can never work. A lot of it is ego. We're going to heal somebody. We're going to fix somebody. We're going to make the work situation better. And it doesn't, it's ego, and you have to be on top of that and understand what is helping you to grow. Is the situation helping you to grow? Then it's sacred, it has value. If you've exhausted all potential in it, most conscious thing you can do is non-doership. Just walk away. And you walk away from this, and there's always a door that opens. It really is. There's always a door. I hope that's answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Stuart.
And it's not just you. Everybody's confronted by this. I've been confronted half my life. I was confronted by this. Should I stay in Texas? Should I do this? Should I build more businesses, and candy factories and bakeries and restaurants, or do I need to go? Will there be another kind of pressure on me that will really force me to grow? And I made the decision to leave. I didn't see the future. And also, I had a teacher in India that I met, and I asked him, should I stay in? And he said, no, you have to leave Texas. Because if you live in New York, your teachings, you didn't even know what I taught, will be known all over the world. That's what he told me. And this is about 6 months before I left Texas, maybe a little bit more, a year before I left Texas. So part of this practice is really becoming so sensitive to your inner life that you know when cycles have changed. And they're changing. And you know when you have to move on. I remember when I published my book, Moving On, finding happiness in a changed world. I mean, the publisher didn't like my original title. So we talked about it, and then we came up with Moving On. It was right after 9/11. And so we called Moving On, Finding Happiness in a Changed World. And I think that's a sentence that can stick in your head because it's true. You move on and things open, new situations open. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
That was a great answer, Stuart.
Thank you. I mean, look, I remember Rudy talking about, up in Big Indian, talking about brooks flowing down mountains. Anybody can drink from them. Once they become lakes, they become poison, they become static water. And it was a metaphor for how people live. When that energy is really flowing, understand it's delicious, it's juicy, it's spiritual, anybody can come and drink from it. Once it becomes stagnant, It attracts every kind of disease in the world. And I think that really is a metaphor for what we're talking about here. At least I'm talking about. We don't want to become a stagnant pond of water. Does anyone have a question? But then if you're at point A and you want to move on, don't jump to point Z. People do that. They want to move and they get a vision, and all of a sudden they think they're living it. You got to go from A to B to C to D to E, F. You got to go through the whole alphabet. It's like building a pyramid. You got to put in stone after stone after stone. And eventually you have a pyramid. You don't start from the top down. I mean, we often want the results before we build the structure. And that's all fantasy. You got to put it in a brick at a time, a step at a time. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? And one of the bricks that you always put in is a mistake. You'll always make mistakes. But they're not mistakes. They're just learning. You learn what you have to learn. And sometimes mistakes are the best way to learn. And don't make them intentionally, but they'll be made. You know, nobody's perfect. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? I mean, look, this falls under what kind of category? Learning how to be a human being. That's what this is. Human beings have a spiritual life. Learning how to work out your karma. As you're working out your karma, the spiritual life is essential. Does anyone have a question? Okay, well, there'll be meditation on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And thank you. God bless you all. And take in the Shakti, take in this energy, let it become integral to your life. You know, there's a wonderful Japanese expression I say a lot, and that, before enlightenment, carrying water and plowing the fields. After enlightenment, carrying water and plowing the fields. What changes is the inner life of a human being. And it's how you carry the water and how you plow the fields. Finding the sacred nature of those fields and the water. And before it was just a job. Okay, there'll be class on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Have a great weekend. God bless you. Mm.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Stuart. Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right.